Always start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. And Loretta, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Spielvogel? Here. Commissioner Buick?
Present.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. We have a quorum. We always have time during the meeting, 2 times actually, for public comment. One in just a few moments, and then one before we adjourn. If you do have any comments, we welcome them. We ask that they be related to county government matters. And if you can try to limit your time to around 5 minutes, please. And then you're welcome to speak both times, one of the 2 or none if you're just here to listen. That's equally fine. And Mr. Versilla is with us from the Newcastle News. And Nick, at the conclusion of the meeting, I will give you my packet that has all the documents we'll be referring to.
Okay.
And speaking of that, if anyone else wishes to see any of those documents, they are certainly will make them available to you. Next on the agenda would be row officer reports and comments. We always set aside time if any of our row officers wish to speak to us. They're not obligated to be here, but sometimes they drop in. But today we don't have any. So we move along to public comment. I'll open the floor. If anybody has any comments at this time. Hearing and seeing none, we'll repeat this before we adjourn later this morning. Next, under fiscal and contractual, we have warrant registers that have been provided to us by the county controller's office. It's a listing of checks that have been cut. They are dated November 30 and December 1. I'll give my colleagues whatever time they might need to look through them. And once you're ready, I could accept and motion to accept these documents.
So moved. Second.
I thank you both. Do either of you have any questions or concerns about the warrant register?
No.
Thank you. Then we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Spielvogel? Yes. Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We have accepted the warrant register. The minutes of the November 28th meeting are in your packet, and give you a minute or 2 to look them over. Vanessa, can we double check on the first page on the spelling of both Mr. Rosansky and Dawn Reese? I think Mr. Reese's name was R-E-I-S, but if we could double check on their spellings.
Sure.
For some reason, Mr. Rosansky's name doesn't look quite right.
It
Might be. We can find that out. We can look up the obituaries, but now Mr. Silverman's name is spelled correctly. So, but please, for my 2 colleagues, Brian, any concerns?
Just one minor one, and I'd already mentioned the Vanessa on page 2 under commissioner reports. I mentioned Jim Roddy, the former Allegheny County executive. His last name is spelled incorrect as well, and Vanessa will correct that before it's put in the minute book.
Okay.
Should be R-O-D-D-E-Y.
Thank you, Brian. Oh, I see that here. Yes, thank you.
That's my only concern.
Loretta, anything?
Nothing.
May I have a motion then to approve the minutes with the corrections that we've discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Any other concerns? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel? Yes. Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under written communications, we actually have quite a few today. We'll start with a document we have received from MindTech Engineers based in Altoona. This is notification regarding the Natural Sand Company, Inc., which operates a clay and sand blending operation in Plain Grove and Scott Townships, and the document refers to the renewal of their existing state-only operating permit number 3700314, which is being submitted to the Department of Environmental Protection. And it's signed by Mr. Todd Coleman, mining engineer. Once again, this is the Natural Sand Company, Inc., with a facility that's located in both Plain Grove and Scott Townships. The next document is from Apex, based in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. This involves Americol Aggregates, Inc., the Welsh plant located in Lane Township. Americol is providing notice that they are submitting an application to DEP for a GP11 general operating permit for the portable facility located at Americol's Welsh plant site, located at 1508 Jockey Moore Road in Wayne Township. It is signed by Alicia Schaefer, the project manager. And here's your trivia for the day. I've often wondered how the name Jockey Moore came about.
Dan, you read my mind.
Oh,
Right now, I think, Jockey,
Well,
I love hearing that name.
here's who you can thank for that. I checked with our friend Everett Blakeney, who's from Wayne Township. There was actually a man named Jockey Moore. Now, Jockey was his nickname. I guess he had horses. He had a horse farm on that road, and the road was named in honor of Jockey Moore.
Jockey,
Oh, And all these years, I often wondered how that, but thanks to Everett, we know that. Next on you'll sleep better at night now that you know that. The next document comes from RAR Engineering Group based here in Newcastle. And this involves the Pathways self-storage facility. It's a proposed self-storage facility. And the Pathways company is based in Allison Park. The plan is to, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, construct the facility in the city of Newcastle, and they are applying to DEP, Bureau of Clean Water. They're applying for an erosion and sediment control permit, E&S permit, as well as a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit. And this is the notification to the county. And again, this is being submitted to us by RAR Engineering. It's signed by Ben Rizzo, the engineer. Next is a company known as GeoPetro LLC of Worthington, Ohio. And this document has been sent to the county as well as Little Beaver Township. This is an application for authorization to use general plan approval and or general operating permit renewal for the Patterson Compressor Station in Little Beaver Township. It's the air quality general permit for natural gas compression and or processing facilities. It is signed by Kay Thomas, the regulatory and compliance manager. If I'm not mistaken, the Patterson site was the very first well that was drilled when Marcellus came about 10 years ago. And again, it's right on the border between Little Beaver Township and New Beaver Borough, but I believe that's where this is located. The next document is from the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, application of the ZAO Group for approval of the alteration of the public crossing by the installation of an aerial communication line where Grant Street crosses at grade 2 tracks of the Newcastle Industrial Railroad, and this is located in the city of Newcastle. And the document is quite lengthy. It's signed by Rosemary Chavetta, the secretary of the PUC, and I'm just trying to reach for a summary here. I guess it does talk about this communication line. They grant an extension of time to ZAO to complete the alteration of the above captioned crossing. So it's a time extension for the ZAO group granted to them by the Public Utility Commission. Next, the Allegheny Mineral Corporation of Katanning has notified us that they propose to conduct overburden and production blasting in compliance with all state and federal laws at its surface mining operation in Slippery Rock Township of Lawrence County, specifically the Harlan Mine. And again, this is the notification schedule given to us by Allegheny Mineral Corporation for the mine that they own and operate. We have received notification from Sean Boyer of Pulaski Township indicating that he has applied to the DEP for an NPDES permit. It's a reissuance. The permit allows the discharge of treated sewage to surface waters, and the proposed activities will take place in Pulaski Township, Lawrence County, specifically 2594 State Route 208 in Pulaski Township. My assumption is this is a residence, but I could be wrong. And then finally, we have received notification from the Department of Environmental Protection noting that the Niesel Bruce Limited Partnership based in Neshannock Township has applied, this is a planned land development for Chapter 102 permits, and it notes that T&M Hardware is on a 1.7 acre site. Project will include the construction of a new 11,250 square foot building with utilities, sewer, water, electric, and communication and gas, including a new entrance onto Fruitland Drive. The project includes 58 parking spots, and the stormwater will be treated with subsurface infiltration bed under the west parking area. So and this again will be on Wilmington Road in Neshannock Township. I know that we covered a lot here. We normally don't get quite this many, but Loretta and/or Brian, any questions on any of these?
My only question is, does anyone know about the T&M project? I know they have a store in Shenango Township. It looks like they're going to build a new store in Neshannock Township. Is that your understanding?
That's how I would interpret this.
Fruitland Drive, that's off of Wilmington Road, correct?
Yes, Fruitland's up near Bel Air. It's right near Northminster Church, a little bit north of Northminster
That's
Church.
why I was trying to picture where, the way I read this is they're going to build a new T&M hardware location, the second store, but I was trying to picture where that would go. But I can check with the planning office, but other than that.
If you drive up Wilmington Road, and I could be wrong, but I first thought that this was where the Dollar General was going to go. They've started leveling off that area, and like I said, I thought it was where the Dollar General was supposed to be,
At Mission Mead and Wilmington.
in that area.
That's my understanding.
I thought that was the Dollar
So
General.
then they would be doing this on the other
on
side,
the other
that large
side.
empty lot, okay.
That's how I would see it.
Oh, okay.
So those two intersections then, I'm just saying, traffic wise, that's it.
Right before you get to the medical art buildings, that
Yes.
vacant property there, maybe that's where T&M is
That'd be
going.
my assumption.
Mm-hmm.
First I heard of it, so. Anyway, I'll move to accept and file the many reports that we got from correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Burek. Is there a second?
I will second.
Loretta, thank you so much. Any further questions or concerns? If not, roll call to accept, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much. Commissioner reports and comments, we take turns each week. And I guess I get to go first today. I'll try my best to be brief. I do want to note that last Friday, I did attend the quarterly meeting of the Northwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission, which I actually currently chair that board. We met up in Franklin, Pennsylvania. And as is happening a great deal, where there'll be some transitions because there have been some commissioners who have sat on that board who will be finishing up their terms in office. So the board will change in the new year. We'll get some new commissioners coming on board. And then I had the pleasure over the weekend. I try to do this every year. of participating in the Wampum Holiday Parade. And as usual, it was a very nice day and a very successful parade. That's all I have. Mr. Burek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just two quick things. The Lawrence County's 175th Anniversary Committee met twice in the past week, and we're getting excited about 2024, where the county will celebrate its 175 years as a county. And hopefully by next Tuesday, I will announce the kickoff event details, which will be held on Wednesday, March 20th of 2024. The other meeting I attended last Friday, you were at Northwest Commission. I attended the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission meeting. They had their public participation panel here in Lawrence County to talk about the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan for 2024 through 2026. There was about 20 members of the community, elected officials from some of the boroughs and townships and some others, and some PennDOT folks there and our planning office staff. And we reviewed the upcoming transportation projects for the county. The two that I want to mention that are going to affect the courthouse and all the employees and visitors of the courthouse are .65, which is East Washington Street, 24, with a projected completion date August of 2024. So sometime in the spring or summer next year, East Washington Street from Croton Avenue down here at the bottom of the hill all the way out to Shenango Township will be repaved. Everybody saw this past summer, they redid all the curbs and the infrastructure, the utility lines underground, and now they're finally going to pave East Washington Street. And then the bridge on East Washington Street, we call it the Troutman's Bridge here in Newcastle. PennDOT has a different name for it, but that bridge is going to be let for construction in April of 2024 as well. So I don't know when it'll be closed, but at some point it'll be closed, and they say it could take up to 2 years to replace that project. So good luck to everybody at the courthouse next year. If you're coming from...
You have been warned.
You've been warned. If you're coming from anywhere other than the east side, the other three parts of town to get to the courthouse, the county bridge on North Street will have to be used as a bypass for people who have to go up through Grove Street and come up that way. But temporary inconvenience, long-term improvement. I'm looking forward to both those projects getting done, but they're both going to go to construction in 2024. So that was the main takeaway I got from, there's a lot of other projects that will be happening, but those two are going to happen here in downtown Newcastle, will affect the traffic to and from the Lawrence County Courthouse and Government Center.
May I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Since I was not able to be there. In previous meetings, with the understanding that the East Washington Street Bridge is going to be replaced, there had been some input on the part of the members of the panel asking PennDOT if they would consider designing that bridge to replicate the two bridges on either side, which are county-owned, the Mill Street Bridge and the North Street Bridge. Did they have any talk about what the East Washington Street Bridge is going to look like?
At this meeting I attended, there was no discussion on the design, but I know that all was talked about was the timing of the project.
Okay.
But I know that that was discussed previously to make it fit into the, just like in Pittsburgh, if you look, remember last year in Pittsburgh, all the bridges are, there's a trivia question for you. And I want to go and get you with Lawrence County or Pennsylvania trivia, but does anybody know what the color of the bridges in Pittsburgh is called, the official name? It's called Aztec Gold. They're all that yellowish, goldish yellow color. But there was a big debate in Pittsburgh, should they go away from that color scheme? But they voted to keep it, that all bridges in Pittsburgh and downtown have to be that painted with that Aztec gold, which fits in with the sports teams in Pittsburgh are black and gold. So, but hopefully they'll incorporate the suggestions with the design. But I just asked about the timing of the project. Good question.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Brian?
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And Loretta?
I mean, like you said, the temporary inconvenience, and knowing as much as everybody tried, from the city to county to even at the state levels to coordinate things like that, that you don't want to tell them, okay, put it off another year and then take the chance that it's not going to be on the list for the next year. So big inconvenience. I'm trying to think of how you reroute if that bridge, how far are they going to close that? Leaving Croton Avenue open on the one side or not, but it will be an inconvenience, but definitely needed and in the long run, much, much better. I have just two quick things. One, since Brian, you talked about SPC, the Southwest or Pennsylvania Planning Commission. Recently, I was on the executive director search. The director that had been there, Vince Valdez, is leaving, and as part of the executive team for SPC, I participated in the search, and it has been recently announced that Rich Fitzgerald, who is leaving office as the Allegheny County executive, will be the new executive director. I just have nothing but accolades for the man, everything that he has done, brought to the table, done for the area, the region. I know that the counties in SPC will benefit from his leadership, and just the knowledge that he brings, the expertise, the ties to local, state, and federal government officials, that he can certainly be there, pounding the doors for us to get the things that we need here in not only Lawrence County, but in our region. So I'm happy to report that I did participate in that, and I'm very happy that it did end up being Rich Fitzgerald. There were good candidates, and going through the vetting process that we did, he certainly was deserving of the appointment. Second thing that I would like to bring up, and I'm beating the drum again for our 911 systems. Talked last week a little bit about the priorities for CCAP, and it is the number one priority for CCAP, and it continues to be that. Second in line is county mental health base funding increase. Third is addressing inmates with mental health issues. Fourth is increasing the prevailing wage threshold. Next is right to know reform. Next, vote by now reforms. Next is broadband access and development. And the last one is our juvenile detention capacity crisis. I really thought that one would weigh in higher on the list. Unfortunately, it did not, but I knew that the 911 funding and reauthorization would be number one. And we need to make sure by the end of this year, there's limited days left for our legislative session. And I believe December 11th is the week that starts. And we have been notified to, again, contact our senators and our representatives to make sure that increase is on their agenda and not the paltry bit that they want to. We are firmly at CCAP set at $2.30 as our bottom line that is acceptable to us to continue with our 911 funding. Because once again, and I say this again and again, it will fall on the county taxpayers to fund that operating system. And I know that the new board coming in, Dan, I know where your thoughts are at, and I cannot imagine that neither Chris nor Dan Kennedy would be against being firmly in support of that increase. We need it. We need it, and we need the continued accelerators for the years to come. They cannot sit on this. It needs to be acted upon. The rate right now cannot just be extended, or a vote of a 10 or 15 cent increase cannot be where we're at with that. So Senators Vogel and Brooks need to be contacted, as well as our representatives Bernstein and Brown. So we owe it to our constituents to do that. I know I will be sending an email out myself, making phone calls, and I hope that everyone else will do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Loretta. And I want to commend you and the other officials from SPC for the excellent choice that you made with Mr. Fitzgerald. He's a good man. He'll do a good job. But I think it should be noted, you put in a lot of hours in that process. You were involved in numerous interviews that took a lot of your time. And I thank you for the time and effort that you put into it. I'm looking at you just in case you want to add anything about 911. I figured you might.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rich Hoover's here, our Deputy Director of Public Safety and 911. As you know, I put a lot of time this year contacting our legislators. I arranged and you guys hosted tours for our legislators and their staff. I agree that's the number one priority. I like to see our legislators. I had emailed all 4 of our state legislators again 2 weeks ago, and actually I just got an email yesterday from State Representative Aaron Bernstein acknowledging my email and stating that he expects them to vote on it next week. He said he's going to support an increase, but we don't know what that dollar amount is. I also, when I went to that grants workshop 2 weeks ago with Senator Albert Vogel, I talked to him personally, and he said he supports an increase, but again, he didn't commit at what level. But we just want you guys to know that the commissioners, we have tried very hard to pass on to our state officials that they need to step up to the plate and adequately fund 911. So thank you both for what you've done, and I've tried to do what I can this year. And
well, you spearheaded it, so we thank you for that. You arranged for those.
Please continue to contact them, because I think they are going to vote next week on this, and they need to do something, because if they leave it go, we're going to be in big trouble with not enough money to run our 911 center.
My colleagues are referencing it's a surcharge that's been implemented, been on the books for many, many years by the Commonwealth on telephone bills, if I'm not mistaken. I believe both landline and cellular.
Yes.
Now, at this point, and it's currently $1.65, but it has been raised in a number of years, and the County Commissioners Association collectively and I individually support increasing it. We've recommended to the state to raise it to $2.30 per month. It's 65 cents per month, but that only comes out to $7.80 per year, less than $8 a year. But counties would then have the money to be able to fund our 911 centers, and all of us, if we ever needed to call 911, we want that service to be there. We want someone to answer the phone, but they have to be well trained and well equipped to get us the help we need. And sadly, this year our wonderful Vanessa had to use that service, and they helped save her husband's life. And we need that service. That's one of the most critical services we provide as the county. So I'm passionate about that, and I hope our state legislators realize the importance of that issue.
Well, thank you both very much. Well, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is new resolutions. And our first one for consideration. Vanessa, what number would this one be?
446.
446. Mr. Hoover is with us. Rich, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic so that we can pick you up on the recording. Rich Hoover is with our Public Safety Department. We appreciate your joining us today, Rich. And you have a proposed resolution for us relative to the 911 state interconnectivity funding grant agreement. But I'll let you fill us in, please.
The grant agreement is money awarded by the state through the grant process to cover various radio and phone maintenance projects for us, and also our shared recorder that we share with Butler County to manage those costs.
And you're asking us then to approve this, so this can be moved ahead. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Loretta, any questions for Mr. Hoover?
No questions, and I will move that we accept that resolution.
Motion's been made, and if you're willing to second, and then please ask any questions you might have.
I second it. I have no questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Well, since there are no other questions or concerns, I would do a roll call.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Well, Rich, we appreciate it. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, I should have added, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich. My understanding is that phone surcharge money is collected by the state. 85% of it goes back to the counties based on how many phone lines are in the county. Another 15% goes into a fund, which then counties can apply for equipment, and that's what this is. This is money out of that 15%.
Yes, this is out of 15% funding.
So
that is awarded by grant.
Right. As we all know, equipment gets old and outdated, so to have the best equipment available, this particular grant is funded by that 911 surcharge, but again, emphasizes how important it is to adjust that based on the cost of increase in inflation.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Loretta, anything else?
No.
Mr. Hoover, anything else?
No.
Okay, well, did we do the roll? We did. So the motion is passed, and Rich, you're free to head back up to the facility. You're welcome to stay, but if you have to head back, we understand.
Yeah, I'll have to head back here. But I want to thank you three for your time and dedication, towards the funding issues and, how well you work with us. We appreciate it very much.
We appreciate all you do.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day, Rich.
Yes.
The next proposed resolution from the assessment office, if my understanding is correct, Mr. Hardister has asked us to table this. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, have your understanding as well? Okay, would we assign it the number and then table, Vanessa? What's your preference?
I don't think it needs a number if we're gonna table it.
Okay, all right,
Because if it comes back up again, then we would assign it
a
a number
new
at that
number.
time.
Okay, that's fine. For your record keeping, I wanted to verify that. Based on the request of the chief assessor, may I have a motion to table this proposed resolution from the assessment office?
So moved.
Second.
And I know normally with tabling, you don't have to have a
Right.
conversation, but
Yeah.
out of respect, anything either of you want to add?
We discussed it with him last week, but if he's requesting table, we'll have to find out why and address any concerns.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The proposed resolution is tabled for the time being. CYS, Mr. Grippo is with us. Good morning, sir.
Well, how are you? We haven't seen you since.
Last week.
Yeah.
I'll be here next week.
Mike Grippo, as many of you know, is from our Children and Youth Services Office. And I believe you have a proposed resolution that would extend the contract of Attorney David Gloss, who provides services to the CYS office. But let me have you fill us in on any of the details.
I mean, currently, he wanted his contract to run from October 31st to January.
Right.
Well, now he's decided to stay to June 30th
Of 2024.
of 2024.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't, so yeah, that's what it is. All I'm doing is I'm just gonna let the old one run out.
Okay.
And this will pick up February 1st to 24, to June 30th.
Okay.
Okay.
Brian, any questions for Mr. Grippo?
Good questions. Just note that we recently hired a new solicitor, John Bonjamingo, and Mr. Gloss is going to work with him on the transition, and I understand cover any cases where there's a conflict for Mr. Bonjamingo.
Right.
So I support the resolution.
Thank you very much. Loretta?
Same thing.
This is proposed resolution 447. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns? Mike, anything else on this?
No.
We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mike, is that all you have for us?
Yes, I do.
All right, sir. Well, thanks for joining us.
Always a
And
pleasure.
I'll see you next week.
Okay,
Okay.
great. That's good to know.
Of course you will.
Or
You
As
got
my,
a seat name, just have your name when the
Yeah.
directors do.
Yeah.
as my barber used to say when I would call him and ask if he was, had any open seats, he would always say, thanks for the warning.
Mike, now next year the price goes up.
The price
The price goes up next year.
Yeah, it's hard to get that one or two.
Dan's on a roll this week.
I am.
I've been hearing his
Yes.
corny jokes for 9 months, and in the past week, he's had the best jokes he's ever
Yeah,
told. So
because
you're doing much better, Mr. Chair.
he did have a downward spiral, a little bit. He was scraping the bottom of the barrel, now he's replenished. I agree with you.
I turned the dad jokes into what else we call the Dan jokes, but he's got some good ones lately.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're very kind. People tell me, they say, Dan, you should go on stage. There's one leaving in 5 minutes. Well, the next item is not that anything that we've talked about is not important, but this is a very important subject matter. Number 448, this resolution involves the introduction of the proposed 2024 Lawrence County budget. State law requires a couple of things. That when a proposed budget is introduced, it must be on public display for 20 days prior to its formal adoption. Accordingly, we are going to vote, hopefully, to introduce the budget today. And then the expectation is that we will have a special meeting on Thursday, December 28th at 10 a.m., at which time we will adopt the budget. Because by law, we have to have this budget in place by December 31, and by law, it has to be balanced. Well, the good news is this budget is balanced. The person sitting to my left, Mr. Vanasco, has worked very hard over the last number of months in formulating this proposed budget. He's held numerous meetings with the other elected officials and the department heads. He, of course, has consulted with us, but he's taken the lead on this. He's worked very closely, and I think he's received wonderful cooperation from the Comptroller's office. And I believe Albert Antonelli from MHDS has offered some assistance to you as well. But the good news is that it's balanced, and it will not necessitate an increase in the property tax, which is essentially the only tax we're permitted to levy. We've said it many times, county government cannot levy a tax on your wages or income. It's the property tax, and this proposed budget will maintain the property tax rate that is currently in place. What I'd like to do is ask Mr. Vanasco if he'd be kind enough to give us an overview of what's involved in this proposal.
Absolutely. I think you took some of my thunder.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. No. First and foremost, thank you to the Board of Commissioners, the elected officials and our department heads. They were wonderful. Our department heads and the elected officials, everybody was wonderful through the process. Each department worked diligently to keep their costs where we could sustain our current tax rates and so forth. And so it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's appreciated across the board. Again, special thank you to Albert Antonelli. He's the block grant coordinator at MHDS, and even Scott Baldwin, because I borrowed Albert for quite a bit of time out of his office. But he was instrumental. He's an Excel wizard, so I had him come in at the end of the process and do some data entry for me and so forth. And he was great, and then obviously worked very closely, and I'm very appreciative of Comptroller Preston and the time that he put in with me to make sure we got this budget balanced the best of balanced. So I think the highlights of the budget are we're balanced with no proposed tax increases for 2024. Also at this point, no tax and revenue anticipation note would be needed to start 2024, which in previously when used when needed. Our total property tax revenue that may be collected is $28,203,979 and some change, down about a half a percentage point from 2023. Our total expected collections at 94% put us at $26,511,741, which is a 0.9% decrease. But the positive is our total revenue increased by 2.7%, and it went to $88,056,268. That can be attributed to several things. Special grants that our department heads are now taking on, such as opioid, our corrections help greatly with their increased revenue. And I think we're starting to see a bounce back coming out of COVID. We're kind of getting back to those, our income that was closer to 2019 than maybe it was 21 and 22. And our department heads, again, we used historical data, sitting down face to face and discussing spending of line items and where we were at the last 2 or 3 years and what we could be at this year to formalize the budget. So we're proud of, and pleased to be balanced. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much, because you put a lot of hours into this, and we're grateful for all that you've done in formulating this proposed budget. Let me turn it over to Commissioner Spielvogel for comments or questions that you might have.
Just comments again, Joe, thank you for the many, many hours with the door closed and speaking with the department heads, the electeds, and again, you know, from the employees to department heads and the electeds, thank them for the service that they provide to the county, the work that they do, and being conscious of the fact that, you know, we do have to balance a budget. I'm very happy, very pleased that again, we balance with no tax increase. And to say that we are on solid ground going into 2024 and beyond. So a bit different from coming into 2020 with things happening and you know, with COVID, not even knowing where we were headed at that point in time. I look back on those years, Dan, and it's just it was a whirlwind of the decision-making process and the things that we had to do and the management of everything. So I digress. But again, Joe, thank you. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Loretta. Mr. Burek?
Just concur with her comments, and we joked this week, sadly, that unfortunately, unlike our colleagues at the state and federal government level, our budget is going to be on time and balanced.
Yes.
And without a tax increase, I'm very pleased with that, and I just thank Joe and the entire team that worked on the budget.
Absolutely.
Joe referenced the tax anticipation note, and in many years, we've had to utilize that process because the tax bills don't go out until usually early to mid-February, if I'm not mistaken. So the revenue in a new year really doesn't start to flow in until late February, early March. And in most years, this county and most counties and most municipalities, not all, but many of them, have to borrow up front, through that process known as a tax anticipation note, to cover our expenditures for the first 6 or 8 weeks of the new year. But our cash balance is such, our reserves are such that, as Joe noted, we will not have to take out a tax anticipation note going into next year. Secondly, another thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think another thing that has helped us has been the fact that interest rates have gone up, and we have been able to take some of our holdings and we've taken out the certificates of deposits and other investment vehicles that have increased our interest income more than we had anticipated. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. Really, by what was anticipated going into 2023, we exceeded it by 500% just on the interest coming in.
And credit there goes to you, it goes to Controller Prestipine, it goes to Treasurer Rapone. We've all had consultation and discussion about that. It's a good thing the warden's here because he's been aggressive in reaching out to other counties that don't have the available beds in their prisons that we do. So we've been housing some folks from other counties, and that has brought in additional revenue to our general fund. So Warden, you and your staff deserve credit for your diligence as it relates to finding that source of income for us.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Before we move, I just want to see if either of you have any last comments, or Joe, anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. And Nick, I should note the budget, the physical document will be on display in the commissioner's office at our counter for those 20 days, and it will be on the website eventually.
It'll eventually be on the website.
Probably within a day or two, I'm
Yes.
hoping.
Yes.
And Nick, if you do have questions for Joe, feel free. Are you free after the meeting if Nick needs to see you, or if you want to call him? I'm sure Joe would be happy to work with you, Nick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, anything else that we haven't talked about? That being said, may I have a motion for proposed resolution 448?
So moved.
That'd be 449.
Oh, did I miss something?
I'm sorry, no, I'm one ahead of you, I'm sorry, it is
It's
448.
448? Okay, that's fine, thank you. 448, may I have a motion? I think you were ready to make it, right, Loretta?
So moved.
Thank you.
I will second that motion.
Thank you both. Any final comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. We're obligated to put together a schedule for the upcoming year. We are required to give public notice anytime we meet in public, and this next resolution would do just that. This resolution would establish that the commissioners as a board will continue to meet every Tuesday at 10 a.m. here in public with the following exceptions. We will not meet on March 19. That coincides with the spring conference of the State County Commissioners Association. Traditionally, we do not meet on Election Day. So consequently, on April 23, that's the date of next year. As of right now, that's the date
Right.
of next year's primary election. That's subject to
So
change.
that doesn't come up again.
Exactly, in case the legislature could change it. But for right now, the primary election is scheduled for April 23. Courthouse will be open, but the board will not meet that day. We will not meet on August 6th because of the annual conference of the County Commissioners Association. The commissioners will not meet on November 5, that's the general election day next year. And we will not meet on November 19, which coincides with the fall County Commissioners Association conference. The annual salary board, by law, we are required to have an initial meeting at the beginning of each year. So the annual salary board will convene on Monday, January 2 of 2024 at 2 p.m. in this room. That board consists of the 3 commissioners and the county controller. And then if any of the row officers or the judge have matters to be brought before the board, they become temporary voting members. That meeting is statutorily required, and then the public notice will be that the salary board will meet as needed. And if there's a need for the salary board, we would then put an announcement in the paper, in the legal ads, 24 hours in advance at least, notifying of that meeting. The retirement board, which consists of the 3 commissioners and the treasurer and the controller, we've traditionally been meeting quarterly, and they're held in this room. They're open to the public. Right now, those dates are February 13, June 11, August 13, and November 12. The Board of Elections, which consists of the 3 commissioners, unless they're running for office, and then they step aside and the president judge appoints the replacements. The Board of Elections will meet as needed at 11 a.m. following the commissioners' meetings, which would be on Tuesdays, or in the event of a need for a meeting, if the elections director notifies us that there needs to be a meeting of the board, it will convene and the appropriate legal ad will be put in the paper in advance of that meeting. The Opioid Advisory Board, which Commissioner Spielvogel has been chairing, has been meeting quarterly, and the plan is for them to continue to do so at 12 noon. The prison board, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the sheriff, the president judge, the controller, and the district attorney, meets on the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 12 noon. And have I missed anything? So that is our proposed schedule for next year. This is resolution 449. Brian or Loretta, any concerns or comments? Hearing none. Joe or Vanessa, anything? Again, this can be modified as long as we take the appropriate steps to make the public notices as per the state sunshine law. So may I have a motion for resolution 449?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. If there are no other concerns, I'll Ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next proposed resolution is 450, and this involves the establishment of the tax rate for the year 2024. This goes hand in hand with the budget that we just spoke about, the proposed budget that we just spoke about. It reads as follows. A tax is hereby levied on all real property within the county of Lawrence, subject to taxation for county purposes for the fiscal year 2024. The tax rate for county purposes shall be as follows. And I would remind you that the numbers and figures I'm going to list equal what is currently in place. There's no changes to what's on the books right now. But for general purposes, the millage rate will be 7.528 mils. For debt purposes, the millage rate will be 0.646 mils. We are permitted to levy a special tax, and this was initiated when Mr. Burek was here during his first time. The state law allows us to earmark a portion of the property tax for libraries, of which there are 3 in Lawrence County. We have the Newcastle Public Library here in the city. We have the Elwood City Area Public Library down in the borough of Elwood City, and we have the library in North Beaver Township, just outside of Bessemer. So we levy a tax of 0.135 mils to assist in the funding of those 3 libraries. The total for all county purposes will be 8.309 mils, again, which equals what is currently being levied. Mr. Burek, any questions or thoughts?
No.
Thank you. And Commissioner Spielvogel?
No.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
No.
All right, thank you very much. This is proposed resolution 450. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let me go back to the budget for just one quick second, if I may. As I mentioned, it's going to be on display for 20 days. We do have the ability by law to make modifications to the proposed budget, but there are limitations as to how far we can adjust. And quite frankly, I can't remember what those limitations are, but we have a little
Percentage, like, less than a certain
There's a certain
percentage that
percentage
you can move
that we have
from one
wiggle
line
room.
item to another.
And so what is being introduced could be changed slightly between now and December 28th. But what Joe will have available, and then the final product, there could be some minor modifications made to it. Just want to make that known for the record. And we did the vote, is that right, Vanessa?
Yes.
Thank you. The next proposed resolution, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Burek, your desire was to table this next one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I had drafted a resolution to hire authorized Tremco Roofing to draw up bid specifications for a roof project on 3 county buildings, including this building. However, just yesterday, the county solicitor reviewed it and recommended some wording change in the resolution. And also just yesterday, I got a list of other counties that have used this company. And I'd like a chance to follow up with those other counties and see if they had any concerns with this process. So I'll move to table the resolution to authorize Tremco Roofing to do bid specifications for roofing replacement.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second to
I will
that?
second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, unless you have any concerns.
No, just based on what Commissioner Burek has stated.
Thank you, Loretta. Roll call, please, to table.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. The next proposed resolution, number 451. We are by law required to make appointments to the county's Agricultural Land Preservation Board. Generally, we welcome that board to suggest names to us, and they have done so. They are asking us to reappoint Mr. Grant McKinley of North Beaver Township to that board. His term would then expire on December 31 of 2026. My recollection is, by the way, this is a 5-member board, and they're not paid for their services. But my recollection is that the law also requires that one of the board members be a local municipal elected official, which Mr. McKinley is. He is and he just got reelected.
Yes.
He's a North Beaver Township supervisor. So what we would do today would be to simply reappoint him if that's the wish of the board. I'll open it up for comments or discussion.
He's been a very valuable board member through the years that I've been involved with the Ag Preservation Board, so I would definitely move for his salary.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I second the motion, and
Comments?
just mention I met Mr. McKinley this year, and I know he's very active with the Ag Preservation Board, so I support his reappointment.
Thank you both. Just a minor thing, his full name is Robert Grant McKinley. His dad's name's Robert, and the person we're reappointing goes by the name Grant. So just note that for the record. Well, it's been moved and seconded to reappoint Grant McKinley from North Beaver Township to the board, Ag Preservation Board. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let me ask my colleagues if they would be willing, we have to reappoint some folks to the Conservation District Board. And it looks as though we have
5 of them.
Thank you. There are 5. May I enter the names into the record, and then would you be willing to do a vote just to cover all 5?
Yes.
Save a little bit of time. Thank you. Thank you for that. The Conservation District, they meet on a monthly basis. They are not paid for what they do. And their process is somewhat interesting. For the board members, the county sends out letters to various organizations and agencies throughout the county and they submit names to us for consideration. So we did do that. We went through that process, and we did get some names. The nice thing is that all 5 of these people are currently serving and have expressed an interest in continuing to serve and did go through that nomination process. So let me walk you through who these are. Proposed Resolution 452, we would reappoint Mr. Bruce Badger of Wayne Township. Proposed Resolution 453, we would reappoint Mr. Philip Dean of Slippery Rock Township. Proposed Resolution 454, we would reappoint Mr. Clifford Wallace of North Beaver Township. Proposed Resolution 455 would reappoint Mr. Don Hoy of Wilmington Township. 456,
I don't know about that.
We're going to have some debate on this one.
I don't know. You're
State
gonna try and slip that one through, weren't you?
State law requires that a county commissioner serve on the Conservation District Board. And I've been holding that position now for a number of years. So proposed resolution 456 would reappoint myself as a member of the Conservation District Board.
Mr. Spielvogel, you're right. He lumped them together so he couldn't object to the other good candidates by reappointing him to that board.
Well, you can always,
Did you
you can always
catch that?
if you want to separate that.
Just joking. You've been a very
We'll leave
active,
that up to the next board coming in.
you've been a very active and good
Absolutely.
member of the Conservation Board, and we thank you for your willingness to
Absolutely,
continue
yes.
serving on that. So I will move for approval of resolutions 452 through 456 to reappoint those members named to the Conservation District Board.
And I will second that.
Thank you both. I'll tell you what, those folks do a nice job. They're all very dedicated to what they do. And of course, Mary Burris and her staff,
Yes.
we provide space for the Conservation District here at the courthouse. And we also provide them with an allocation of money each year, but it's a wonderful organization. So thank you both. I look forward to continuing to work on that board. I probably should have separated my resolution so that I could abstain. So I probably should abstain, but we'll go ahead and take a vote since it's been moved and seconded.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes on every one except 456, and on that one I'll abstain.
Okay.
Thank you all. And we'll move along with some other boards. The next board is our Planning Commission, and can't say enough good about these folks and all the work that they do. State law requires that we have a planning board. It consists of 9 people from around the county. None of them are paid for what they do. And right now, we have 3 of them whose terms are going to be expiring, and they have all expressed an interest in serving again. And if you don't mind, can we do them as a group?
Yes.
Number 457 would reappoint Mrs. Carolee Loudhead of Wampum Borough. Number 458, and there's going to be a minor correction here. We're going to reappoint David Hammond. On your printed agenda, it's correct. It says Neshannock Township. On the proposed resolution, it's listed as Hickory, so we would need to scratch Hickory and put in Neshannock. So Mr. Hammond is being reappointed, and he resides in Neshannock Township. And then the third and final one, Resolution 459, would be the reappointment of Everett Blakeney, and he's from Wayne Township. Let's make a correction to, it's correct on the printed agenda, but on the resolution, scratch Elwood City Borough and put in Wayne Township. Those are the 3 folks that would like to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. And I'll open it up for discussion, comments, or a motion, whatever your preference is.
Mr. Chairman, my only other question is, Mr. Hammond, you said he lives in Neshannock, not Hickory. Is that address on Harlansburg Road correct?
No,
So we need to update the address and change Hickory Township to Neshannock.
you're correct. Thanks for catching that. He lives on Greenleaf
Yes.
Street or Greenleaf Drive.
I say drive.
Yeah, off of Mercer Road. It would be Newcastle 16105. But thank you. I missed that.
So we just note that the address, his correct home address will be changed as well as the township.
That's correct. Thank you for catching that, Brian. It's either Greenleaf Drive or Greenleaf Court. Okay, thank you. Now, I apologize. Do we have the motion yet?
No.
May I have a motion to reappoint these 3 people?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Loretta, comments or
No
questions?
comments. They've done a great job. The meetings that I've attended, they attend the meetings, they offer input. And they're good members.
And I agree with everything you just said. Brian, anything else?
No.
Okay, it's been moved, seconded for these 3 resolutions. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Mhm.
Next is proposed resolution 460. I'm sitting here and I woke up, it just dawned on me, Warden, did I miss something, or do you have something on the transfers? I apologize.
No, I don't, Commissioner. I was just over here and I figured I'd sit in on the commission meeting.
And that's fine. You're always welcome. And forgive me, I thought, well, maybe I overlooked something. But no, we're
Very educational and entertaining.
I'm surprised you didn't
And entertaining.
doze off. I mean, these are not the most exciting.
We tried. We tried.
But no, thank you, and we're glad you're with us. So with that, I'll get back to proposed resolution 460. And this is a budget amendment. We are taking, under the capital expenditure revenue fund account, increasing the prior year dollar amount by $22,000. And if I'm seeing this correctly, that will be then earmarked for the controller's major equipment capital expenditure expense fund account. Do I have that right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Questions or concerns?
Now, I'm just going to note that this is for the software Munis that the controller's office uses and all departments now use. They're going to automate the employee reimbursement. Right now, when an employee travels to county meetings or trainings, they have to submit paper documents. This way, they'll be able to upload them electronically, and it'll actually improve the employee reimbursement, reduce errors, and speed up the employee reimbursement process. So I think this is money well spent.
It is, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other point to it, or why it's coming through now, is we're locked into a better price through December 29th, which than we would heading into next year. There's gonna be a price spike, so if we were gonna do it at a lower cost, the lower the cost, the better, so.
Yeah, thank you for noting all of that. I appreciate it. That's good news that you just shared. So, Loretta, any comments? Okay, thank you. May I have a motion then for proposed resolution 460?
So moved.
Second.
Any further concerns or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. We have 6 transfer requests. I'll work through them. Stop me if you have any questions. The maintenance department is asking for a $2,000 transfer from their contingency to that of hauling of refuse. The carrier, the company that we use, has implemented an increase that we did not budget for. And we've seen that from some other accounts as well. The coroner's office is requesting a $685 transfer from their Act 182 contingency line item into materials and supplies. Mental health and developmental services. And this, don't let this number frighten you, because this generally happens this time of year.
It does, yes.
The transfer is a total of $285,000. Here's how it breaks out. $25,000 of that is coming from consulting services into mental health community services. $100,000 is coming from ID services base into EI base.
Early intervention.
Early intervention, thank you. $60,000 is coming from mental health crisis intervention into mental health housing support. And also we're taking $40,000 from mental health, I'm assuming that's community employment, Joe?
Yes.
Thank you, into mental health housing support. And then finally, another $60,000 from mental health community residential into mental health housing support. Joe, do you care to add in, since that's your forte?
I think when they do their budget at the beginning, they're on a fiscal year, so they're about halfway through right now. And it's a guessing game where the costs are gonna go and where they're needed. At the when you're doing this in June, May or June, when you see spikes in one area or less in others, you start to make your corrections. That's all they're doing.
The only one other thing I would tweak with what you just said, I'd call it an educated guessing game. I mean,
Well, it depends who was doing it, maybe with Baldwin, it's educated, it's just a guessing game.
Nah, you're selling yourself short, but this happens, as I recall, every year about this time. We have to
Yes.
make these major adjustments. The next comes from the juvenile probation office. The total amount of the transfer request is $4,402. They're taking $402 from their maintenance and repairs line item into employee insurance. They're asking for $1,938 from their contingency line item into staff overtime. And then from travel and training, they're asking for $2,062 to go also into their staff overtime. Domestic Relations Office is asking for a transfer of $1,200. All of it's coming from their contingency. $700 is going into contracted services. $410 goes into the hauling of refuse, and $90 goes into equipment lease and rental. And I believe the final one is the sheriff's office is asking for a $6,000 transfer from their contingency account into the salary of security scanners. And it says here, due to a deputy shortage, all positions at the security checkpoint are filled with security scanners. Those are the transfer requests. Do either of you have any questions about any of them? May I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just some announcements before we wrap up. Board of Commissioners will once again meet a week from today in public in this room at 10 a.m. The County Planning Commission will hold its monthly meeting on Wednesday, December 13 at noon at the Crane Room Restaurant on Wilmington Road in Neshannock Township. We noted a week or two ago that Mr. Rick Myers, who has been serving on the Lawrence County Housing Authority, has submitted his resignation effective the end of this calendar year. And we're required by ordinance to announce that opening at 2 public meetings of the Board of Commissioners. Last week, we announced the opening. So once again, I will formally announce that there is an opening on the Lawrence County Housing Authority. Anybody who wishes to apply for consideration can either come to a public meeting and state their intentions, or they may send us a letter asking to be considered. We do, by ordinance, we do require that any applicant be subject to a criminal background check. And I'll say unofficially, historically, of that 5-member housing authority, we've tried in the past to always have someone from the borough of Elwood City, because of the fact that the housing authority has facilities within the borough limits. Their other facilities are all within the Newcastle city limits. And Mr. Myers, of course, is from Elwood City Borough. Anybody is welcome to apply, but I think it's safe to say that we will try to give preference to someone from Elwood City for that reason. So I'll just make note of that. We have 4 openings on the Lawrence County Industrial Development Authority. This is the second announcement there. But I think we probably need to, if we haven't done so already, and we probably should have done it when we had the chance, you know, the Economic Development Corporation handles the paperwork and administrative responsibilities for the IDA. I think we maybe need to consult with Ben Bush and have him work with those members to see which ones wish to be reappointed. So I don't know.
Do you want me to send him an email?
If you don't mind, but you're our representative on Ben's
Right.
board. I'll defer to either of you.
We'll get together, you and I.
Okay.
We'll put something together.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And we'll have to, on the final one, I do know this, the Lawrence County Redevelopment Authority, we have an upcoming opening on that board. The current member is Mr. Robert Donadio, and Mr. Donadio is a resident of Neshannock Township. And he has written to us expressing an interest in being reappointed.
Yes.
Thank you. Under those announcements, do either of you have anything I may have overlooked, or Vanessa or Joe, anything I've overlooked? Okay, thank you. I'll open the floor for public comments. We have 2 folks in the room. Nick or Warden, any questions or concerns?
I have none, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Nick?
I can talk to you guys after the meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you. Closing comments from my colleagues. Commissioner Spilvo.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Burek.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. And my perpetual question, Joe or Vanessa, anything I've overlooked or forgotten?
No.
No. Thank you. That being said, we thank everyone for joining us today. All of our business has been completed. May I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. And Mr. Vanasco, if you wouldn't mind turning off the. Thank you, everybody.
Sure.
Have